Hey, what's up, Renegades? Welcome back. Happy Memorial Day. It is a beautiful day. It's a hot one here in New York. It's about 85 degrees right now. And it is time to get our oyster totem logs out of these buckets. I actually don't remember when I did these. I think they've been in here at least a month, probably close to 2 months. Typically, 2 months is as far as I go in terms of leaving them in the buckets. And usually once it starts getting really hot out like this, I go ahead and pull them out. And so I did take a peek at these, and let's take a look here. See that? That's sawdust. That was done with sawdust spawn. Nice colonization. You can see there's just a little condensation inside the bucket. That's what you want to see. It's nice and moist in there. Mycelium's nice and white, no sign of mold or anything. I believe this one's sawdust as well. Looking good. So it's looking like those, I just drilled a 1/4 inch hole, 2 holes, one in each side of the bucket, little 1/4 inch hole at the top, and that was a perfect amount of air exchange. Now this one is sawdust as well, looking good. And this is kind of interesting here. I want to show you guys this. So that one was made with grain spawn, and I actually, one of these, the 5th one, I made with grain spawn as well. That one actually got a bunch of mold on it, trichoderma, green mold, and I'm not sure why, but definitely the sawdust spawn did better than the grain. So that was interesting to me. It seems like the sawdust spawn is the way to go to, if you're going to use this bucket totem method or a bag totem method. It looks like the sawdust spawn did a lot better. So anyway, we're going to pull these out of the buckets. This is the Michigan oyster strain from Gary at Fresh Fungi. So this is supposed to be a cold weather strain, and I'm not expecting this to fruit anytime soon since we're in the heat of the summer. Probably won't pop any mushrooms till fall, but I'm going to put it in a nice shady location, which I was scoping out here where would be a good spot. And I'm thinking I have this really nice bed of these are turtle heads right here, and there's actually some space. I'm going to show you. These are all turtle heads, and then I have this beautiful cluster of Annabelle hydrangeas here. And if you look back behind these, I got a nice little space between the turtle heads and the house, the back of the house. And I'm thinking they'll kind of maintain the humidity for our logs. And they should get a little rain back here. And it'll give them some shade. And the other nice thing is my hose is right there. So I easily water these whenever I bust the hose out. And that's one thing you really got to remember with doing these logs, guys, is when most people fail with these and they don't get mushrooms on them, it's because they let them dry out. Especially when you're doing smaller logs, smaller diameter logs, or shorter totems like this, you really got to keep them moist. If it's dry during the summer, hot and dry, you should be watering them every few days, basically just like you would like a vegetable garden. So that's the main thing. Keep them out of the direct sun. Keep them out of the wind if you can. And make sure you keep them moist. So if they're rain shadowed or you're in the heat and dry of the summer, make sure you're watering them just like you would a vegetable garden every few days. And whenever the weather is conducive, you will get a bunch of mushrooms, I promise you. And these will go for 2 or 3 years before the mycelium eats up all the nutrients and they really won't produce mushrooms anymore. So I'm going to tuck them right back behind here, behind these turtle heads, and I may trim these turtle heads out a little bit too. These things just keep spreading, and they're almost taking over this entire garden except for the hydrangea that's holding out at the end there. But these are really cool flowers. They flower really late when most of the other flowers are done, and by that time they'll be real tall up here. And it's usually in like September they're flowering, and there's just bees all over them. The bees just absolutely love them because there's not a lot of flowers available then. So I usually leave them standing for a long time into September, October, because they're still in bloom, and just let the bees hit them. And right around the time the bees are coming after them, we should be getting some cold nights and hopefully some mushrooms. Show you guys how to take them out of the buckets. It's real simple. It might just be kind of tough to do with one hand because I'm holding the camera with the other, but this mycelium should have these logs chunks relatively knitted together, and they'll be almost like glued together, but they will separate, you know, if you bang them really hard, but it's not a big deal if they separate. When you're doing that, you just restack them, no big deal. But you just tip the bucket over, and I'm just gonna tip it right upside down. And this is a kind of narrow totem, so this one might wanna, oh, that's standing up. So there we go. Nice mycelium. I definitely noticed that the ones that were made with sawdust spawn seem to be knitted together more strongly too. So seems like sawdust spawn is definitely the way to go. So you can see these aren't coming apart. This is knitted together pretty well here. I'm able to just stand it up, and you can move it wherever you want. So that's where they're gonna stay, guys, until you know, I'll probably do another update when they start producing mushrooms. But definitely the sawdust spawn seems to be the way to go. A lot better colonization, and really no mold growth at all. So sawdust spawn is it. So I learned something. You know, I really didn't think there was a big difference between grain spawn and sawdust when doing these totems, but sawdust seems to perform better. So anyway, we're gonna keep them back here, and I will update you guys when they start producing some mushrooms, which probably isn't gonna be until it starts cooling off in the fall. But I will definitely let you know. It's important to note too that all this white fluffy aerial mycelium, that's all gonna die back now that it's exposed to open air. That was just grew that way because it was in that relatively closed condition inside the bucket, and it allowed it to go all white and aerial like that. It's all gonna kind of die back, and that doesn't mean your logs are dead. That's normal. When once you expose them to open fresh air, that all that nice white aerial mycelium is just going to recede, but it is still healthy and vigorous inside your logs, so no big deal. But just remember to water them. You don't want them in standing water, but you do want to keep them nice and moist. So every time I fire up the hose to water the garden, I'm just going to give these guys a little water too, and hopefully before we know it, we'll have some nice Michigan oyster mushrooms. So that's it. Let me know, guys, what you think. Hit me up in comments and let me know, you know, if you have any suggestions, or, you know, any of your personal experiences with doing totems. I always love to hear that stuff, and catch you next video.